We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and I got some news for Dorothy and Toto. We're back in Kansas, and the dust is about to fly once again at the Kansas Speedway for Week 12 of the OBRL Yesteryear Racing Cup Series. Yesteryear, where past meets present. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, John Hine, and we're lucky enough to have the heartbeat of BGN, bringing us all these sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneker. Last week was all about survival as we saw several big wrecks involving 4+ cars at the Texas Motor Speedway. When the smoke cleared, it was Dwayne MacArthur standing on the podium waving the checkered flag for the second time this season. Daryl Weininger has 4 top 5s this season, but is still searching for that first win to lock himself into the OBRL playoffs. Could tonight be the night Daryl finally brings home the checkered flag, or could the man who's taken the OBRL by storm, Andrew Kotska, win for the 4th time this season? Find out as some of the best drivers on iRacing get set to go 150 laps around the 1.5-mile Kansas Speedway. Home to the closest finish in NASCAR history, the Kansas Speedway offers exciting side-by-side racing, the most exciting being that in the 2024 season when Kyle Larson edged out Chris Buescher by 1/1000th of a second. Now, John, that being said, this is the first of 2 stops here this season, so what can we expect after the boxing match in Texas?
Well, I got to let my first words here for tonight's broadcast say Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there that is a mom and watching this, and especially the ones who are watching their husbands do this on Mother's Day. You guys are, man, you guys are absolutely the best. So, but yeah, you know, Zach, this is a cool track because guess what? You can run on the bottom, you can run in the middle, and you can run at the top, and guess what? You can make time in all 3 lanes here. So guys are going to have options here. You know, the one place on the track though that I would say is going to give these guys a bit of a trouble will be coming out of turn 4 here. The track kind of falls away a little bit. It's real easy to get the car to break loose if you're running up on the top side, but if you're running on the bottom, you know, you can get back to the throttle real early in between 3 and 4, and if you do it too much too early, the nose of that car is going to find that outside wall on corner exit. So watch for turn 4 to be a trouble spot. Watch for pit road. You know, we talk about this every week. You know, this is a league that gets green flag stops, and we always see things change, the nature of the race change on pit road with green flag stops.
And now, John, you know, you hit the nail right on the head. We expect a lot of long green flag runs here. You know, I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But is this going to be a racetrack where, you know, we have seen guys maybe short pit in the past, or do we think those right sides are going to hold up for a full, I'm guessing, you know, 50 to 60 lap fuel run?
I think those the tires will hold up here a little better than some other places and whatnot. You know, and a lot of that also, you know, I guess to be honest with you, that depends on how you drive your car. You know, if you're somebody that really likes to drive it in deep and, you know, kind of use the brake to turn it, chances are you're going to wear those right sides out a little bit more than somebody, they'll say, that will float it in and, you know, pick up the gas in the middle of the corner to drive it, you know, up out of the corner. So, yeah, it's all going to come down to how the drivers are racing those cars.
No, I know, you know, we're not going to talk too much about it, but John, man, you nabbed it. So I'm giving you credit for it. You took a look at the points here coming in, and we don't see Bill Martin here yet. You know, obviously you mentioned you get the credit for that too. It's Mother's Day, so a lot of men out there busy, but Bill Martin right now is that man, 16th in points there, you know, after the wins, and missing tonight, that could hurt him a little bit, John.
Yeah, it's going to open the opportunity for somebody to maybe climb into that top 16 there and you know, position themselves to maybe snag a position on points, if not get a win later in the season there. So definitely an opportunity race for those guys. It's a pretty tight battle down there between, you know, that 16th spot and the 17th, 18th. And even I go to that 15th. You know, 15th, when I looked at them earlier, about 15th, I'd say about 18th, 19th, pretty tight there. So somebody is going to have an opportunity here to increase their chances of making the postseason.
No, John, too, there are a lot of mile-and-a-half tracks where obviously qualifying matters everywhere we go. But do we think, since, you mentioned you can run the bottom, middle, high side, do we think it's a little easier to pass here than maybe some of the other mile-and-a-halves we go to?
Yes, 100%. Just because you can run all over this place here, so guys can be patient. Guys can go out looking for other ways around folks. Where people just got to be a discipline as they're making the passes. Because if you try to, outbrake someone, you could wheel hop it. If you try to get in the gas too early to try to get a run out, maybe you push the nose, or you lose the back end here.
Well, John, I think qualifying came to a close here, and it looks like we're about ready to go for our 150 lapper. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. On the pole, defending champion Josh Robinson. To the outside, Brian Lynch.
Starting in row number 2, the number 40 of Andrew Koska. Next to him is Clay Walker.
Lloyd Moore to the inside of row 3. To the outside, Roger Hurley.
7th is going to be the 28 of Robert Garisco, and to his outside will be the number 1 of Greg McDaniel.
Ryan Lindsay to the inside of row 5. To the outside, Dwayne MacArthur.
We have Victor Lane got to roll off 11th, and to his outside, Andy Thomas.
Christian Lucian lines up on the inside of row 7. To the outside, Lucky Larry Corey.
Starting 15th is going to be the number 59 of Sean Foltz. To his outside will be the number 15 of Daryl Weiniger.
Chris Bates lines up on the inside of row 9. To the outside, Jerry Isaacs.
Tom Massey will roll off at the inside of row number 10, and to his outside will be Fred Wolford III.
Dakota Pishka lines up in the blackjack position. To the outside of row 11, Daniel Hill.
Courtney Nelson and Scott Negus will start 23rd and 24th.
Dave Nestor to the inside of row 13. To the outside, Don Easterlin.
Rolling off 27th will be James Hisloff, and out to his outside will be Alan Wanamaker.
John Hastings on the inside of row 15. To the outside, Mark Schrader.
Mark Fish going to roll off 31st. To his outside will be Dustin Martinson.
Lee Wursdal lines up to the inside of row 17. To the outside, that man who's 17th in points, starting 34th, Luke Lane.
Bert Dobson and Nicholas Self will round out the field here.
Yeah, John's Phil, 36 cars, absolutely amazing. But we had Mother's Day definitely impacting the grid here, I think.
Absolutely. But hey, I should touch on the EOL's penalties from the last race. So Alan Wanamaker is going to fall to the end along with James Hislop, Luke Lane, Courtney Nelson, Lee Wurzel, Don Easterlin, and Dan Hill. Most of those guys didn't put a qualifying effort in anyway, so they were towards the back anyway.
Yeah, that more EOLs than normal. I mentioned the boxing match.
Yeah.
It really, I don't think that really was drivers getting too aggressive, John. Just kind of, sliding that rear.
That track. Yeah, Texas is, I think, one of the most difficult tracks out there. We've been extended the caution by 1 lap. We're going to go an extra lap here to get ready for this thing. And Zach, I almost want to put this in the category of unfair, but that front row there, the usual suspects are up there, but Josh Robinson, Andrew Koska, those are the guys that have really dominated this series. Andrew's got the most wins, and Josh is challenged, I think, for winning almost every race we've had this year.
Yeah, and, you don't want to let those guys, man, off the leash and get out there too far. And, I'm not doing this just because he's the boss man here for us, John, but Victor Lane, best qualifying effort out of him all season, too. So maybe the 10 going to put it together. He's one of those guys inside of the championship bubble, but, he needs some more points to kind of get himself some comfort, don't you think, John?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, it's an opportunity thing here, and if you're above that cut line in that 14th, 13th spot, here's your shot to maybe put a little more distance between you and that cutoff spot. So, a lot of guys are going to have a lot of different agendas here, and it's going to be fun watching everything unfold.
And Clay Walker was one of those guys who, starting on the outside of row 2, he really had some pace last week. It just seemed like maybe tire wear got to him, but definitely pace on the short run. So keep an eye out on that front 2 rows. This should be exciting as the pace car gets ready to dive off out of 4. You're going to see those drivers, John. If I'm in there, I'm shaking. But, man, they look good. They look ready. The green flag's high. It's ready to fly. Lap number 1 underway at the Kansas Speedway. Good jump for Josh Robinson. And, man, you know, you're going to get some draft here, John, but that's the dream start. That's exactly what you want.
Yep, you get to control the start, so you're the first one to get on the loud pedal, and usually that equates to an advantage.
Now, battle still on, though, going back. That's 77 coming up, trying to use some draft off the 2 of Clay Walker's on the outside of the 26 of Lloyd Moore. The front 3 kind of settled down. Lloyd trying to make it 4 here is he wants to go up close it. He's got room, but Clay still got a big run, going to try to keep it on the outside here. Couple guys, John, I'm hearing come down pit road, but I do believe we may have had some penalties for that, the pass-through penalties in the penalty sheet.
Yeah, that's quite possible here, but the racing up front has got a single foul. It didn't take them long to do that. Front 5 or single foul, but 6 on back. You know what? Looks almost the way they started this race, side by side all the way through the field, showing that you can run all over the place here at Kansas.
Yeah, and you know, you really can, John, but different strokes for different folks. Now, obviously, everybody does it different, but if you're out there right now, I know you want to be, but you're not. You're stuck up here with me. How do we go fast and save the tires? Do we do it up top? Do we work the bottom? Do we maybe work the middle? Combine both? How do we do this thing?
You can do it up top. You know, you're not putting as much wheel into the car, so you're not putting as much stress on that right front. The part that you got to be careful with is make sure that you're not leaning on that right rear, because you can burn that right rear off every bit as easy as what you can the front tires. So, yeah, but overall, the top is going to be a little bit easier on the tires.
And that 12 of Andy Thomas a little bit back of where we're looking, just brushed the outside wall coming out of 2. And Sean Foltz with a great job in that 59. He had to jump on the brakes there to avoid it. That was good. That's one of them, John, you'd love to see. I mean, we're only on lap 4, you know, and live the race another day. You're not going to get it done now. You got to survive at least this first half.
Yeah, you know what, and this race is I think this is gonna be one of those where, you know, it's been a couple races now since we've seen a caution-free race, but this one, you know, might fall into that category.
Yeah, no, that's not what you want to hear. If you know you maybe had a penalty started in the back, but hey, you just got to kind of let it come to you. Maybe some tire strategy. We'll have to keep an eye on what the lap times are looking like. So right now, it's the quickest guy on the racetrack, actually 30th there. Don Easterlin just ran a 31.17. That was the quickest lap of the race. So he's maybe pushing in the back to try to get towards the front. But you see there, John, we got a battle for second. Not much of one. Look at Crisco setting sail on the top of 3 and 4. We got a battle for the lead. Crisco leads lap 6.
Oh, I don't know where Harry Gann is right now, but we're just going to say he went high, wide, and handsome to take that lead right there. That was a thing of beauty.
Man, that really was. He let it hang in there, and boy, oh boy, I'm really hoping Crisco has the pace to keep that throughout the run, because seeing Robert at the top of the list, man, you know, nothing against Josh, nothing against Kotska. But we need some new blood up here, John. And Crisco, man, he may be the call here.
Yeah, never mind the new blood. You know, I'm a dirt guy, so getting up there and running that cushion, that makes me happy to see that.
And, you know, like I say, he's sticking out. He's going to keep her rolling. Now we got another driver, maybe not going as high, but still working that high side. Ryan Lindsay in the 24 machine. He just worked himself into the top 5 in that DuPont 24. Man, he is almost mimicking Crisco. He maybe needs to go a little higher, John, if he wants to maximize it, but still looking pretty good up there.
Yeah, and, you know, the reason why you saw that big run is because those guys on the bottom are having to feather it, you know, a lot longer into the corner. I mean, you're almost on corner exit. You almost have to wait to get your car pointed straight before you can really get aggressive back on the throttle. When you're on the top, you can start picking that throttle way earlier in the corner there, and that allows you to build up more speed, so when you get off the corner exit, going down the long stretches here, all of a sudden you got a pretty good head of steam, and it's almost like what we saw. Crisco looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
Lindsay still ripping that outside as he moves himself up into the top 4. And now he's got a big run on Kotska. He'll be able to carry that momentum. When do Robinson and maybe no, man, that's some of that. You guys may not know who he is. He's another broadcaster for VGN. But John, I heard you and Ryan talking. That's some of that JR discipline. Maybe even when they know that top's the quickest, they're just staying down there, going to milk their stuff. It's impressive the way they do that.
It is, but, I'm kind of wondering if they won't venture up. Because I'll tell you this, once the tires do start to kind of give away a little bit, being on the top all of a sudden is a little bit easier to race at. Because on the bottom, it's a lot easier when you get wear into that right front that you start losing the nose, and you've got to wait on it longer and longer to get back in the throttle to make lap time. Well, when you're waiting on it longer and longer, guess what? You're slowing down, and your lap times are going to be a little bit slower than those cats on the top. Kotska goes up.
Oh, yeah, he does. Finally.
He went to the middle. He didn't go top yet. He went to the middle.
Maybe he's warning Josh, like, hey, man, we got to go up here. I may have to make the move. And there you see Josh. It looks like, oh, no, he entered middle, but he's going to rotate down to the bottom. And then that Clay Walker, he's the first guy there.
Well, they're reeling Crisco back in now. I think the draft is kind of playing into that a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that, too, maybe, hopefully he didn't burn up his stuff. I didn't want to jinx him by saying that. Hopefully it's just, he was like, I don't need this big a lead, just relax a little bit, keep it around that 3, maybe 4/10 of a second mark. But now...
See, but he's pushed back out there now that he's got someone behind him, helping him to push him along down these front stretch and the back stretch.
Yeah, decided he needed to go here. He sees Brian Lindsay coming, and man, Brian, he is hungry to get that 24 up front. We don't talk about it a lot, but you lead a lap, you get that bonus point. It looked like Crisco may have rubbed that wall ever so slightly. It looked like he left a little quote-unquote Darlington stripe there on the outside. It looked like it painted black, but we'll see. You can rub it a little bit. These cars, you hear John and I talk about it all the time, not tanks, but man, these are some of the most durable cars. I'd say NASCAR's driven in the last 20 years.
Yeah, we can call them resilient. The cars are resilient. They can take a lot. Now Kotska goes up.
Yeah, because look behind him. This guy sneaks up out of nowhere. Dwayne MacArthur. Yeah, you didn't hear us talk about him all race. Started 10th, up to 5th in the 83. Look at him just back out.
Now they're all up there.
Yep, he knows. He's like, all right, they're all up there. Let's just ride. I just got to keep you guys where I can see you. Save my tires. And I think, truthfully, John, I think it's a big relief to guys like MacArthur, Brian Lynch, when they look up there. No disrespect to Marisco and Lindsay, but I think, that maybe not as terrifying as seeing the defending champion out front. You can just kind of calm yourself a little bit.
Robinson was taking a peek there. I think he's figuring out how to get runs off the top side and maybe get to the inside of the 28 machine there. But, looking back through the field, half the field is on the bottom, half the field's on the top. Good stuff all the way through the field.
We were almost 3 wide there for P2. Kotska kind of had to feather it coming off of 4. He lost his run, but you mentioned it, John. Little diamond line there, feathered it going in, picked up the throttle early. Josh Robinson to P2. Now he's making the move for the lead. Can Crisco defend? He's going to have a better run coming off the 2.
Yeah, and he's got to make that pass now, because now look at that. Kotska went up. If Josh can't make this move, he could lose 3, 4, even 5 spots before he has an opportunity to find a slot to get back in there.
Man, he found a way to power that thing off of 4. No slip and slide for the 23. He found the grip back to the lead here as we go to lap 18. Looked like Crisco maybe flirting with that wall once again. But, man, the 83, he's got to feather it out, John. So the 24, Brian Lindsay, nowhere to go, and Kotska with a move to the high side.
Yeah, those guys saw, what Robinson go to the bottom, make it work. Now you got 3 guys going, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And they're proving to be a little tougher sledding for those guys.
Yeah, maybe
went to the bottom there.
Maybe reminding those guys why he's won 3 out of the last 4 championships here in the OBRL. That was a big move, and look at MacArthur slotting himself up high. Brian Lynch, he being a good guy there, definitely feathered that thing in no hurry for the 9 machine. Now Brian Lindsay, he may have to get up there, but no, Clay Walker going to try to get that mean green machine up there on the high side. See if he can't slot in there. What's the 24 going to do? Plenty of room.
Yeah, the guys all racing up front, dicing it up like they are. You know what? The whole field is really pretty much all still there, all the way back. I mean, the whole field is really there. I mean, you go all the way back to the top 20, 21, 22 before you got a bit of a gap.
No, and you see him coming by the camera right now, that red machine is Scott Negus. John making the pass right now in 11th. He could lose it here as he battles with the 12 of Andy Thomas, but up 13 spots at the moment. Good drive for Scott Negus. One of those guys also looking for his first win of the season.
Yeah, Scott's making it work out here, and we talked at the top of the show. You know what? It's a track that gives you options. It's going to be a little easier to pass because, if someone's running low, then you can figure out how to pass them high. Someone running high, figure out how to get around them low. I'm going to be real interested here. We're getting about lap 21. Generally speaking, this is when you start to see the tires transition, getting a little wear, handling of the car changes a little bit. So here's going to be the big question over the next probably about 10 to 15 laps. Who can keep up with the changes in their car? You're going to have to adjust how you're driving. You might not be able to drive it in as deep, or you might not be able to pick the throttle up as early. So who's going to be on top of the changes they need to make? Because the guy that does it, it's probably going to be the guy that makes some serious ground up here in the next 10, 15 laps.
It's really interesting to see right now, John, because I'm right on board with you. I prefer the high side, especially when I'm trying to save my tires. Josh Robinson, he needed to use that high side, the diamond line a little bit to get the pass done. But now when he gets back out front, man, right back to the bottom, I'm really impressed by that here as we see Chris Bates actually making a move there on the 77. And he get it done there in the 81, 77, or early going to have a big run off the top shelf. And that's what we've seen all night. That's why you want that exit off the 2.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I hate guys like that because they've got so much talent that they can run the bottom and keep their stuff under them, not burn that stuff up. I try again, and I cannot do it. There's a select few that can really do it and do it well, and Josh Robinson is one of them.
Yes, he is, and man, Crisco, he is making good friends with the wall in 1 and 2. They might take some paint out of his pay though when they redo this thing for race number 2. Mick Arthur, he's there, and it's really interesting to see too when Crisco's been rubbing this wall. It's almost like Josh, maybe watching the mirror a little bit, doesn't want to open up this lead too much, just trying to save his stuff. It's really kind of answering the bell. These guys going back and forth. It's almost like a chess matchup.
Yeah, and I'm already seeing Josh, change his line a little bit. He's hitting that apex later and later. He's taking a little bit more of an arc into the corner, not by much, but a little bit more than what he was early on. If we watch him going down in 1, watch how long he takes to get in that bottom lane. He's actually entering now in the center lane, and then almost half diamonding, coming down to the bottom lane. Whereas before he was getting to that bottom lane a lot quicker. See, look how long it takes him to get down there. He's almost center of the corner before he gets all 4 tires in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and I think that's just, John, I mean, you guys have tried to preach to me, just not a lot of wheel input. You don't want to yank that wheel down there, especially as the tires age, right? Just kind of want to be as smooth and as minimal turning as you can. Josh, if you're looking at that wheel, I've never seen a guy be that smooth. He's on a Sunday drive. That thing looks like it's handling like a dream.
Yeah, and there's different settings. Oh, we got a caution.
Oh, I see Daniel Hill looping around a little bit. It's going into turn 1. Okay, so it does start with him in the 81 of Chris Bates, literally right as they're crossing the start-finish line here to take lap 27. Let's see Bates float up off that apron, and John, that looked really weird. That looked like something disconnected there with Bates because, Ryan, restart that one more time. Let's watch it in slow-mo. His car drifts up the track, John. He never turns or does anything until right there at that point. It's almost like maybe a screen went out or something.
Yeah, it's possible. It kind of looked like maybe he got his left side tires on that white line, and you will lose grip on that. And maybe it kind of shot him up a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah, it's just really weird at this point. This is what kind of sketches me out. It's just, I feel like he could have maybe turned himself out, but it just goes so long. And oh, man, who tried to fit through there? Just nowhere to go. Oh, man.
We
Back
got the
down the
leaders heading to pit
racetrack.
road.
Okay, so apparently, maybe thinking, John, well, what are you thinking here? Leaders coming down pit road. Do we think we can maybe go one more stop from here after this? Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that probably is the play here, because this is and here's and my guess is, and again, this is a guess. I'm taking gas because on a track like this, you never know. This could be the last caution we see. And if you're not packed full of fuel, that's really you want to be on the same cycle as everybody else and run it as long as you can here. So that's what I think. That's why I would be pitting here.
Let's see here, John. Who's our victim? Let's pull somebody up here as they come off pit road.
Well, let's go with Garisco. You know what? He's been running that top side.
That is who my camera's on. That is who I was thinking. That is a good pick, John. You take him first whenever he hops up here.
Robert Garisco, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy? Hey, Robert, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, hey, buddy. You know what? You're having a great start to this race, and I'm going to tell you, you know what? Running that high side, looking high, wide, and handsome up there like old Harry Gant. So tell me the advantage that you think you're getting running that top, because it's kept you up front. It's even kept you out in the lead for a good period of time.
Yeah, it's just running up there on the top side. It just feels good to me. The car rolls through there nice and sweet and not really even pushing it yet.
Hey, Crisco, I'm going to ask you one more question quick since you're doubling up, getting ready to go back. Do we think we can one-stop this from here? Is that maybe the game plan if we have to, if it goes green?
Yep, that's my plan. One more stop, and then I'm fishing and finish it on out.
Hey, man, slide your way up in there, Crisco. Go win one. We're rooting for you, brother.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Oh, there you go, Zach. There's your answer to your question. So they're probably going to run this long then, and to make it on one more stop here. But if we do get a caution, it'll be interesting to see if anybody else tries to opt for some rubber to maybe make some track position.
I really like what he told you there too, John. I'm not even pushing it yet, is what he said. So
yep.
He had speed, man. He didn't even open the can yet. This is going to be interesting. Just staying close enough to stalk Josh, not let those other fast dogs behind you around. But we get ready to go green here as the pace car pulls off. Once we enter that Geico restart zone coming up right here, your defending champion can fire. He does. We're back underway.
Garisco does not go.
Tough break there for Garisco. Oh, man. Kotska really hung out there. Who else was that stuck up on the top? Brian Lynch in the 9 machine, really. Sean Foltz, Negus. I mean, those guys are going to lose 2-3 spots apiece.
Oh, now he's trying to get it all back and almost lost the car. What a great save by Garisco.
That really was a good save. Oh, man, I held my breath there for a second. We almost gave him the curse there. Hold on to it, Crisco. It's still a long way.
And I'll take blame for that curse because I was watching that Cup race today, and I was watching it on Max so I could go into the in-cars, and then I went to Kyle Busch's in-car laps before he spun out. Then I went over to Keselowski's car. He wrecked, popped the tire like right after I got on his. So I've been jinxing drivers all day long.
And a battle right on time there, Ryan. That thing was heating up. MacArthur had a huge run going into 3. Really checked up. I think, Josh kind of had the top going down the backstretch. He didn't want to make the move here. It'll be interesting to see, though. MacArthur can carry some momentum and get it done on the top as you see Lloyd Moore and Clay Walker battling hard there for the final podium spot. Here comes the 24, Brian Lindsay back in the show.
Yeah, some guys really took advantage of that misstart there by the 28 and were able to improve their position. But now Briscoe's going to have a hard time getting back up there because you know what? They were following his lead from earlier on, and I see a lot of guys clogging up that outside lane.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the back got the memo. I mean, heck, Josh Robinson, he just got the memo, John. He's up to the top shelf, holding up that 83 a little bit, maybe saw the pace from MacArthur. And, man, it looked like he was going to peek down there, just maybe bluffing a little bit, playing some poker here. We're only 34 laps in. Oh, but here he goes, John. He's taking a peek.
Yeah, I've watched MacArthur now a good part of the year, and you know what? He's happy when he's out front. If he can see the front of the field, he is going to try to get there.
Yeah, he really drove it in there deep. It'll be interesting to see. Can he pick up the throttle? He does. He floats it up. Josh Robinson now looking at the rear end. Does he maybe think about an over-under? Nope. He's going to lift out. He says, you know what? I won a couple championships. I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to hang out in second. We lead the way here, Dwayne, and we come to lap 36. But now Lloyd Moore putting some pressure on Josh Robinson here. As the 26 got the bottom working, and he's got four-time winner this season. Andrew Kotsko working the bottom behind him. Lloyd Moore to P2. Oh, he got loose coming off of 2 there, John. He lost a lot of momentum, that 26.
Yeah, he did.
Look at that red machine on the inside. Scott Negus up here in the top 10 of 17 spots in 36 laps. What a run here for the 107 of Scott Negus.
Yeah, but man, I tell you, Zach, this is great stuff, man. You got outside lane working, you got the inside lane working. Heck, I've seen a few guys jump to the middle here. Man, these guys, this is intense, and these guys are probably having a blast behind the wheel.
No, and I love NASCAR for coming here twice because, John, it really is. It's where can you get it done as the driver? Where can you make the setup work for you? And this is poetry in motion, as they say. This is awesome. I mean, guys feathering, getting big runs, cutting to the inside as you see ways back. I believe that's the 51 of Jerry Isaacs. He just made a big boy move as he powers under the 59 of Foltz. Had to feather it a little bit coming off the corner. Crisco, John, you mentioned he finally able to get to that outside right in front of that 59. Finally.
Well, he's been going back and forth between the lines because I think he's faster than the guys in front of him. But you can't just drive through guys. He's trying to figure out a line that's going to move, and he's trying to be patient here. And look at Isaacs. Isaacs goes right back to the bottom and picks up 2 more.
Yeah, that 51 machine's rolling. It's been a rough couple weeks, though, for Isaac, so this would be a good turnaround for him. Same with Greg McDaniel. He's been flirting up around the top 5 in a couple of these races and then involved maybe some bad pitch strategy, an accident here or there. And good seeing these guys up here near the top 5. Let's hop back here a little bit towards the back of this pack. Who is kind of tailing here? That's the 32 of John Hastings in the Tide machine. John, we had a lot of cautions last week. Do you like what John's doing right now, just kind of pacing the field? You can clearly tell, he's not trying to work that thing, just rolling with that gap. Do you like that? Because, man, we ride on board with him, they are 2 by 2 by 2 as far as the eye can see in front of him. It's a busy road up ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? Keep in mind here, too. I don't know. I mean, with lanes like that 2 by 2, that means it's going to be tougher to get through because you're going to have to figure out how to work your way around all these cars. And I think if you're, I guess Negus has come up through the field, so I guess you could do it on a pretty quick order, but I think I'd feel better up there in that top 5, top 10.
As you see the graphic rolling across there, we're getting to 10th. Top 8, John, within a second of the leader. I know we did just had a restart, but, man, we have had some races this year where, let's be honest, the leader kind of got out front. This is one of the closest battles we have seen all year. There are maybe 7, 8 guys who could possibly take this checkered flag right now based off pace. This has been a fun race to watch here. We still got over 100 laps to go.
Yeah, much as I don't want to root for a caution, but I do hope there's a caution, in about 50 laps or so that'll bring everybody to the pit so we can keep them close. That's where that opportunity with pit road, guys getting on and off can make up a whole lot of time, and that really spreads the fields out.
And we got the Lee Wursdell in the 99. He's another big mover. He's up 16 spots. He's got that Viagra style paint scheme running hard up on the top, John. Looking pretty good up there.
You know what? I really don't think, to answer your question earlier, much as I'm watching these guys, I think I'm trying to get my way through the field. But you know what? You got to be careful doing that. You don't want to use your stuff up. But I just think if you're running out of the top 10, maybe 20, 30 to go, you're not going to get there. These guys up front are just way too strong, and they're clogging up all the lanes that you can use.
Yeah, that's why I was, I maybe, if it's so clogged in front of you, that's why I kind of wasn't putting them down. I almost do like running at the back of the pack if you think you're going to get another caution. Because you don't want to work your way through too aggressively, when they're all running that double file, and be that caution. Because you mentioned, we're coming up here soon. What, John? We're probably 10, 15 laps on these tires. So in about 5 to 6 laps, that's when guys may be starting to feel it here, and that's when it may get interesting.
Absolutely. It's interesting now. Like I said, you got guys running all over this track, and I don't want to say it's like restrictor plate racing where they're in a pack, but it's not that kind of pack, but it's nonetheless, it's a pack.
Yeah, interesting for the drivers. The car might be a handful coming out of those corners more so than it was when you had that fresh rubber here on the restarts. And, you'd seen MacArthur early on kind of get it out to right around that half-second gap. And, in the long runs that we've seen this year, John, I don't think it's out of line to say that Andrew Kotska may be the tire whisperer of this league. He has nursed them longer than a lot of people. And some of the runs, you go back to he won that one fuel mileage race on the one set of tires. And I think if you're the 83 of MacArthur and you see that 4-day peeking underneath you after about a 15, 20 lap run, you start to get nervous because Kotska looks like he still has a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, and if you're out front like that, the best thing you can do is just look right out that front window and keep your foot in it, as long as you can anyway.
Welcome to the top 5 last lap time around for Scott Negus. He has got that thing on the move, and he's going to send it in here under the defending champion. He gets it to stick. I thought that was maybe going to end bad here. He floats up a little bit, but man, Negus, he's got the grip. And surprisingly, John, he's another one of them guys making the moves on the bottom, but really at the end of that last run, didn't seem to be struggling on tire wear.
No, he didn't, and I think what blunted his run there on Robinson is I think Lloyd Moore pulled down in that bottom lane, and I think it took the air off his nose.
Kotska got up that hill a little bit there. As you see, Jerry Isaacs running right against that yellow line. But that allowed Lloyd Moore to maybe take a peek. But I think that's all it's going to be, John. It just doesn't seem like coming out of 2, unless you really, really want to work those tires. I just don't think the bottom's the place to be. We've seen it work a lot more coming out of 3 and 4.
I think it could work, but it's going to be late in the race when you're not worried about using everything up. I think it'll work, but you would have to drive your car really hard on the bottom to get it to work.
Jerry Isaacs, he had finally gotten that pass done. We were watching that battle with Andy Thomas, and it didn't take him long to find his next victim here. He's working on the 24, Brian Lindsay. There he has a little bit of a slip-up coming out of 2. He's got to catch it. Oh, boy, John. Now the 2 behind him, big run.
Yeah, and he's got to hope his tires didn't get too mad at him. So when he goes back down here in turns 1 and 2, that car sticks where it needs to go, and those guys lose that momentum against them.
Battle for the lead. Here we go. Andrew Kotska to the bottom, entering 1. He had a big run coming off of 4. Used that little crossover move Now I'll have to see, though, John, you've talked about it. The 83 can just roll that throttle a little better up in the high side, and man, he made that look easy, says Andrew. You're going to have to figure something else out. He's going to go back to it, trying to really load up.
Yeah, look at Moore
on entry. Yeah, now he can't cut under because, as you mentioned, Lloyd Moore to the inside. So this is going to be tough for Kotska. You know, I mean, him and Lloyd, they want to get this done. Almost going to have to work together here. If they start battling each other, I don't know if they're going to be able to get lane.
Yeah, and that brought Robinson right back into this deal here.
Yeah, and Robinson maybe thought about taking a peek there, but saw the lane shut, backed out of it. Smart move there by the 23, and he's got himself in the top 5 right where he needs to be. He's already won, I believe, 2 races this season, Josh Robinson. So I'd say pretty firmly, got himself locked in that playoffs here, as John and I touched on. We're inching closer to that halfway point. We have next week off, as you'll see they're going all-star racing. No broadcast for that, but when we roll into Charlotte, that is going to be week 13. 26 races to determine the points, John. So, we've kind of played it. It's been a long season, but now you really do. You start to feel the pressure if you're not in, and that's where we see Lloyd Moore really trying to make it work. He's one of those guys. He needs a win.
Yeah, and as that vice, tightens, the closer we get to the end of the season, you're going to see guys start to do things not out of control, but that risk and reward, the percentages on that definitely change the later in the season we get.
Yeah, and Lloyd Moore right now 14th in points, so not, he's in, but he's definitely not in, if you know what I mean. Anything can happen to that 26, so he really knows those front 3 in front of him, they're already locked in. Him and Negus, they got to put the pressure on those guys, maybe force a mistake. You got the top 3 right now after Josh gets this run. Winners, next 3, John, they want to be winners. So maybe we gotta team up here.
Yeah, and much like you do see at the drafting tracks, it seems like the cars, the lane that has the most cars in it gets the most energy and becomes the best. If you get 3 lined up on the outside, it works. If you get 3 lined up on the inside, it works. So I'm starting to see, like you said, working together. That's a thing here today.
Yeah, and you see, it's just Negus and Clay there. It's so easy that you see that guy in front of you maybe not making a move. Now you want to go up high, but then Lloyd, he remembers that in a couple laps. When you take your peak low, as Josh Robinson, yeah, he's making the move. Glenn MacArthur, he put the loud pedal down. He got out of that 3 wide quick, but those 2 still battling for P2.
Yeah, but see, you got a couple cars lined up there on the bottom, and now that bottom is starting to inch back up towards that lead there. So, like I said, it's kind of almost like plate racing, but it's just not, hey, you're not locking bumpers and pushing each other. See, now there's 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top.
Yeah, Josh, one of those first guys to prove me wrong there and prove you right, John. Get the pass done coming out of 2. I was shocked. I thought Josh would stick around and maybe get it done there coming across the start line, but he got it done early. Now he's right back to the top, and this is where you see he's going to diamond down a little bit. Not too much, because as you mentioned, that draft's important. I think he wants to use as much of that as he can, to really try and help him get that run.
Yeah, where you can dive out going right into the corner there and then try to complete a pass, but these guys are almost in line now, which is going to make it really difficult here. They were kind of staggered a little bit, but for the most part, they were all running a little bit higher on the track.
Andrew Kotska rubs that outside wall. Scott Negus can't take advantage here. He gets close, but meanwhile, Josh Robinson, as close as he's been here, he takes a peek down low, entering 3 battle for the lead.
Negus follows him down there to see if they can link up, see if that'll pull Negus into 3rd maybe. Not quite.
Yeah. No, he has a little bit of a hiccup, and now Kotska, taking your advice here, John, he's going to go down there, and I mentioned I think those 2 need to work together, but no, Robinson couldn't make it stick here, didn't want to dive it in low. But it's definitely going to take 2, I think, to work by that 83. He is so good at just backing up the corner and powering off the top.
Yeah, Lloyd Moore once again at the bottom, but he's not going to have any help, and Robinson's going to come down, so he'll pick up a little draft here. Let's see if that'll help him complete the pass on Negus, which it does.
Yeah, Kotska goes down as well. He gets the help of a bunch here, and now Lloyd going to send it in deep one more time. He likes that bottom, or now I'd say more the middle here. Nobody really, per se, running the bottom is going a little bit here on tires, a little over 30 laps. So we're definitely at the point, John, I want to say inching close to halfway on the fuel gauge. And
I got a caution.
oh, man, caution out, John. Who do we got? Mark Fish is what I'm hearing. He is on pit road in that 42. Oh! Oh, wow. Gets a shot there from old DW in the 17. Man, oh,
Yeah,
man.
it looked like he just missed. Well, no, that's wow. Yeah, that would fall under the unnecessary contact or avoidable contact. That's what I'm looking for. Got aggressive there. Try to go. He got tires below that white line there, and going into the corner, getting below that white line, it just upsets the car. I mean yeah. Patience is still needed. Where like you touched on it, just not quite halfway yet.
No, that's a tough break. I mean, there was a little
all
contact.
back to pit road too.
Yeah, there was a little contact coming out of 4. I rewinded a little further, but Mark, nothing he really could have done about that. So that's tough for him. I don't know. I don't think it was intentional. Definitely aggressive move here, as not even at the halfway point. But you mentioned leaders coming down pit road. Let's see here. We'll start jacking up the right sides as normal. We'll jack up the left side. I don't think they're there. We go. No, look at this. MacArthur, is that? No, that's a 4-tire pit stop. He had an early pit stop. What am I thinking? Early pit road. He's climbed up the leaderboard. Pretty good stop there for the 83, and I believe Kotska, yeah, he beat Josh Robinson off of pit road, John. Pretty good there for him.
Yeah, nice pit stops. Looks like pretty much the front, 6-7 cars all held serve here. So, we're going to get some fresh sneakers on these guys, and they're going to turn them loose again. We're going to see another big pack, I think.
Let's see here. If we don't double up this time, we'll pull them up. But I have a feeling we're going to double up this time. And, Crisco, I'm not going to take full blame on that for your shift. But maybe we take, I'll take 10%, John. Is that fair? Maybe
I'll take 50.
Okay.
I told you I was jumping around the in-cars in the NASCAR race today on TV, and it seemed like every time I got in Keselowski's, he pops a tire, bang into the wall. Kyle Busch gets turned. Yeah, I've got the full-on jinxing going on today.
Now, how important, John, is this restart? Obviously, he's had to work his way up, mostly on the bottom, but arguably top shelf where you want to be. If you're Scott Negus, how aggressive do you get here? Maybe get yourself into the podium. I mean, I mentioned, those top 3, they've already won, so, I mean, maybe not willing to fold the envelope as far as you.
We're not even halfway. We're not even halfway, and we got a lot of racing to do. You know what? You just want to make sure your position is keep your car clean. Make sure you're still in touch with the leaders, and see if you can save your stuff and see where you're at about lap 125, 130, and then see if you can get them from there.
Yeah, we still got 75 laps to go, I want to say, right? Yeah. No, 85. 85. Need to learn my math. So I don't think we're going the whole way on fuel here, but as we enter the Geico restart zone, MacArthur drops that hammer. Another great restart. Josh Robinson maybe taking advantage. Battle on for P2. And, well, I mentioned Negus getting aggressive. Now he's got to play some defense here. Lloyd Moore taking advantage of that good run here on the inside. Lloyd floats up a little bit. Boy, close call. Lloyd caught it. And, John, that's another thing. New tires, they feel good, but sometimes they can be a little chilly that first lap.
They can be, and right now you're going to be able to drive it deep, pick it up early there on the bottom. So, That bottom might be able to be a good place to be for the first 5 or 6 laps of a run.
A lot of these guys moving on up here comfortably on that high side. And man, another one who I would like to keep an eye on as we go on throughout this race. I think it's just a product maybe being stuck in traffic. But that 59 is Sean Foltz. He is running that top side so good. I mean, running right up against that wall. Now that I mention him, he goes down about half lane. That 59 there in the middle of your picture, behind that, is looking good. Keeping a pace with the leaders. Now it looks like John Kotska maybe trying to work those new tires. He got stuck in line for a long time, but here comes defending champion Josh Robinson, and he's got some company.
Yep, outside starting to kind of get organized and start pushing a little bit, and they're making some time up top. 3 wide back further back there with Lushin and Garisco and Isaacs.
Yeah, Crisco got into Lucian a little bit there, I believe, coming out of 4. No arm, no foul.
Oh!
Sends it in. Oh, he got to the back of, I believe.
Oh, chain reaction. 77's going to go.
Oh, the 77 of Roger Hurley goes around. And, John, you nailed it. Chain reaction. Just, man, one mistake. And just roller coasters from there.
Yeah, and the 24 probably couldn't see really too well what was going on there and gets into the back of the 77 and gets him around. But the good news for Mr. Hurley is he didn't hit anything. Damage is going to be very, very minimal here, so he can get back at it here.
Yeah, and, Crisco, he definitely did send it in a little harder, but if you go back there, you could kind of see right at the beginning, the 51, not on him. He's got a right to that. Kind of a big turn down as they enter the corner. Maybe Crisco thought he was going to have that bottom lane open, just couldn't react in time. And then, well, John, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but these cars are pretty durable. His tires aren't going to like it, but Hurley definitely going to be able to keep rolling.
Yeah, 100%.
Now we should have time to pull up a victim. I don't believe we've ever talked to Clay Walker before. Let's see if we can get Clay Walker up here in the booth with us. Hey, Clay, Shaggy, man, you got a copy?
What's going on?
Well, man, I'm having fun, but it looks like you're having a lot more fun running right there in the top 5. Do we think we can go out here and get that first win in the column tonight?
Man, I wish, but there's some power horses in front of me that they know what they're doing, so I'm just trying to learn from them and see their line. So, but there's some good races in front of me though, and behind me. So we're just gonna try it out.
Well, speaking of lines, which one do you like? Do you like being on the bottom and catfishing, or do you like being up there on that wall running those boards?
Well, I kind of like the high lines, just kind of defend. You get down in there and get sucked in that hole on the inside. You can't get that run off, and so it's just I like the high line. But
well, hey Clay, any chance here? Maybe get 1 or 2 more cautions here early. Can we go the rest of the way on fuel, or are we gonna have to stop again?
Right now we're going to stop again. So we'll probably try to half this up and see what we can do, because it probably 36, 37 laps or something maybe, and see what we can go from there.
I like that. Thinking ahead. Well, hey Clay, go get him, man. Sitting there in the top 5. It's there, brother. Good luck.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I'm glad he brought that up, John. I truly didn't think of that. With the way we run green flag here, do you risk short pitting? We've only had 2 cautions tonight. So what do we do here?
It's going to depend on how you took care of your tires. You know what? If you've got some life left in them a little bit, you run that sucker dry. But if you're wrecking every time you get into a corner because you can't find any grip, you may want to pit so you're not that caution.
Negus was able to sit in P3 when the caution came out here. Can he take advantage of possibly another good restart by the 83? MacArthur's been nailing them all season. No exceptions tonight, so pressure on for the 23 of Josh Robinson, which you mentioned, John. No pressure. He's still coming 3 laps to halfway, so There's plenty of time, plenty of gamesmanship, and I have a feeling a lot of these guys haven't laid all their cards down on the table yet.
Probably not, but keep in mind for Robinson and Koska, I know they've got their tickets punched, but you know what? There's still points to be had for that playoff positioning. Those guys do have a lot on the line, even though they are in the playoff field. Same thing with MacArthur.
As the pace car pulls off here, we enter the Geico restart zone. Another good restart. And Scott Negus trying to take advantage as well. But not really fully to the inside here. And, you know, I'm not all about giving up here, John, but he may want to lick his paws and try to get in line because there's a big spot behind Kotska. But the 107, he's got different plans. Good run off of 2 here. And now he had to feather it.
He does, but as long as he's got that number 2 almost tucked up on his bumper there, look at right there through the center of the corner. He's getting a push, even though they're not touching. He's still pushing him, and they're dead even across the line.
Oh. Bonus points, I believe, for Scott Negus. I want to look at what iRacing gave him credit for. It did. Gave him credit for the lead lap, so Scott Negus able to get there once. And John, you know, I know we're talking. Probably want to run this thing as long as you can. If you're the 107, you got that lap led. How important is it to you to get this leader? Oh, pretty important. Big move. Scott Negus to the front all by himself. Power move by the 107.
Yep. Scotty got to the front there, and now he's going to have to defend because the 83 is right back to his corner.
Yeah, man, oh man, look at that. He sails it in on the top side. He says, you think you got something, Scotty? Here we go. He's got the cape clapping in the wind. Big move from MacArthur.
But Zach, this is my point though. That time down the backstretch, he didn't, the 107 there, Negus did not have anybody burly behind him. And it just stalled him out and allowed that 83 because Robinson was behind that 83. But now Robinson is going to the lower side. And then watch as they go down there. He's got to go down. Well, he's going to run the middle here, so that's going to help Negus get a little bit of a run there.
Now, how much of that?
Close enough to him.
How much of that too, John, is maybe the 23? You know, playing a little back and forth between the guys, having them use each other's stuff up. You know, maybe making them battle when really they don't want to. I mean, is the 23 maybe playing a little game back there?
He can be. You know, it's always possible.
Clay Walker, the man we talked to, he's back up on that high side, didn't like the bottom, looking to the outside of Kotska. Let's see here, he's going to have a big run. Can Kotska go up and shut the door? Clay had to feather it a little bit, but he's still got a good run. And as John mentioned, he's got all that help up top. Big run going into 3. And now we got 3 guys lined up on the bottom. Kotska, a little bit of a hiccup, got to catch it. Clay Walker to 4th.
Yeah, I think that's going to cause Kotska to lose a spot.
Negus pulled even once again here for the lead as they enter 1. Scott Negus on the bottom, Dwayne MacArthur up top. He's got help from the 23 in the center of the corner. Josh Goat back up top. They're going down the straightaway, and see Scott kind of stalls out from that center point on off. But man, Negus really giving it his all down there on the bottom here.
Yeah, and the 23 keeps vacillating between the 2 lanes there a little bit. He's going up high down the straightaway, and I do think that's benefiting the 83. Gets down in the corner, but now the 23 is far enough from the back of him. I think the front 2 are racing heads up right now.
Yeah, I think those front 2, and now, you know, John, they may be better than me, but right now I don't know how much tire savings going through those guys' head right now. They're pulling away even from Josh a little bit as Negus gonna have the lead here at the line, but Dwayne MacArthur coming back like a freight train on the outside.
Yeah, that big momentum off the top side is really, you know, prevailing towards, you know, from the middle to the end of the straightaways.
Negus hopping back up in line here, and maybe just gonna let things settle down here and realize still got a long, long way to go. Negus running P2, hasn't run in the top 3, I would say, in an event at the halfway point yet this season. So Negus really getting a feel for this race car, getting a feel for the guys around him, and he's looking good, as I believe that was looking at my camera. Man, Crisco He's been running that outside really well, John, but man, he's been flirting with the devil up there. He rubbed it again, but you see that big run. Briscoe mentioned to us he hadn't even pushed that race car, John. If not for that bad restart, he may be the guy leading the pace, but Briscoe working his way back up through one spot at a time.
Yeah, he is, and he's doing it slowly but surely, picking them off one at a time, and that's what you have to do here. I mean, we got plenty of time. He's got plenty of time to be patient. We're not looking at the end of this race just up around the corner, not yet anyway. So, yeah, he's really still running his race, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and Jerry Isaacs was another guy who was kind of flirting with almost falling outside of the top 20 for a little bit. He's linked up behind Briscoe, and he's moving that 51 on the outside, inching closer to those leaders who have kind of inched a little back towards that 23 of Josh Robinson now that they've kind of settled down, John. I think they realized, man, we don't want to go at this pace for too long.
Yeah, here's the problem too. Costco being Costco being on the bottom. You know, he's got to find a hole up there if he wants to kind of become part of this freight train, and he may have a difficult time doing that.
Yeah, him and Clay Walker have almost been duking it out there since that start, and speaking of duking it out, Negus going to take a little bit of a peek here. I don't think it's kind of lost in the wind here, just maybe looking, trying to make the 83 a little nervous. Josh Robinson, you mentioned, helps Dwayne going down the straightaways, but goes right back down there and maybe breathes some life into that 107, but then it stalls out. Now Josh says, no, Scott, I'll breathe you a little bit, but Dwayne, by that point, he cut him back off. This is, man, I'm telling you, if you don't appreciate watching racing like this, I don't know what you're doing here, because this is exciting. This is a lot of fun to watch. These guys are playing with each other.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, this is a high-stakes game of high-speed game of chess here. These guys keep doing different things and trying different things, and I'm surprised. What's really difficult about this is when you're on the track of the pack doing this, the predictability kind of goes away a little bit. Predictability is what keeps the cautions at bay. But these guys are not causing cautions; they're making these moves and doing so at the right times. That's really impressive.
And maybe not the right time there for the 26. He's going to lose one to Brian Lynch, but he backs out of that throttle. I thought he was going to fall in line, but just doing it so he can pick up the throttle a little earlier on the bottom. Got a good run, floats up a little bit, but man, oh man, you see, just picks up the throttle a little too early. And then, well, John, you know the deal, man. You don't want to lift out of that throttle coming out of the corner. Even if you got to pick up the throttle a little later, if you're messing up that straightaway momentum, that's what's going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, these are both pretty long straightaways on both ends of it here. And yeah, if you mess up on a corner exit, it just kills your lap.
Josh Robinson was taking a peek there going down the backstretch, but Scott Negus had enough to hold him off on the bottom through 3 and 4. But Josh going to go right back up to the top here on the entry of 1, and man, he really drops the sails up there. He looking good, got a lot of life left in those tires, and man, he drove by Scott like he was sitting still. That was an easy move there for Josh.
Yeah, and we're starting to get some laps in here, so this is where we're going to see guys once again. The car's probably starting to change in the attitudes a little bit, and guys are going to have to start adjusting. And as hard as these guys have been running up front, I'm going to bet some tires are going to give up maybe a little quicker than what they had in the previous runs, because these guys have been running a lot harder on this stint than what I've seen all day.
Yes, they really have, and we're coming up on 60 to go here, or 61 to go next time by. Right now, Kotska making the move there for that final podium spot on the outside of Negus, while Josh Robinson maybe thinking about losing the bottom here, 3 and 4, taking a sniff of fresh air. But MacArthur going to lead another one as the battle's still on for third. Scott Negus on the bottom, Kotska upstairs. Another one there, another battle right behind Lloyd Moore looking under Brian Lynch. These guys here in the top 10, we got battles all over the racetrack. Briscoe just got it done. Sean Foltz has been trying to take a peek on that 59, and I had mentioned Jerry Isaacs running behind Briscoe earlier. Oh, Isaac's got around that 51. He's got some pace in that thing too. He's ran around in the back there. Started 18th. He was running at one point around 24th. And oh man, he almost got another little love tap there from Crisco. Those guys have had a story already there in 1 and 2 today, John. That was close.
Yeah, it was really close, and Grisco there really lifted there, and that was good sportsmanship on that front there. Isaacs didn't do anything wrong, but Crisco definitely recognized, oh, I have a run, but he had nowhere to go with that run and did the right thing there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's had Fultz underneath. And not much you can do here is Crisco. He's doing a good job. He really sails that thing in, and he picks the throttle up so early. Not a Fultz. He's got his head in his hands here going down the backstretch, wondering what he's got to do. He feels like he's got a quick race car, but man, just can't get it done on the inside. We're not as deep as we were on that second run of tires, but we're getting there. So guys definitely starting to feel it.
Yeah, I think what's hindering Fultz is the fact that most of those guys in front of him are all up top. And now it looks like he's going to get help from Lushin there. We haven't really talked about Lushin a whole lot today, but he's having a very quiet, solid run.
Yeah, that 3 machine, he really has had a good run. And now you mentioned he'd help Fultz out a little bit. He stay down there and maybe return the favor as he float up and try to get draft. That is what he does. And now Lucian, he's going to need some help here. Maybe the 24 is sneaking up behind, but it's not going to be easy to do it. Oh, Crisco back down to the bottom. Oh boy. Look at the 3 trying to take advantage of the checkup, and then here comes the 92 of James Hislop. He's got to back out of it. I thought we were going to have a 3 wide there.
Can I open my eyes yet? I kind of closed it. I didn't hear a wreck happen.
Man, and now we got a battle for the lead. Surprise, surprise, defending champion getting a little impatient there. P2, he wants to add another one to the belt. MacArthur making it look easy there on the defense, coming off a 4 big run. And 83 just looking so comfortable there on the high side that we don't even really know if he's shown us what he's got yet, John. He's just kind of been able to run against that outside wall. I mean, maybe Negus forced some pace out of him early, but Dwayne, he's looked awesome up front. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to crack that safe.
Zach, I can't believe I'm about to say this at a track like this, but is it possible that it may be for you to grab the lead, you can't do it on your own? You're going to have help, almost like those drafting tracks where you're going to have a pusher to get out in front.
Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier, I truly do think, and they're not teammates, and they're obviously compete with each other in the win column. Kotska with 4, Robinson with 2, so they may not want to help each other out. But if you want to get around that 83, that's almost going to be what you're forced to do, I think. And it can't be going up helping the guy on top, going down the straightaways. We see Clay Walker getting to the outside wall a little bit. Scott Negus now going to complete the pass for 4th. Clay sent it in there a little deep, and man, that wasn't a big shot, but man, you probably feel that one in there. That probably scared him a little bit.
Yeah, and then you spend the next lap and a half thinking, okay, is anything hurt? And you go into the next corner praying nothing's hurt, and you still barrel it on in there and hope for the best. It's an interesting feeling.
John, a little ways back here, sitting in 21st in the 21 machine. We had talked about Luke Lane sitting there, 17 points. Didn't have the the best qualifying effort. I think he was one of those ones with the EOL, just didn't qualify.
Yep.
But Luke, I mean, coming up, 13 spots. I mean, that's a quiet, good day. Probably wants to pick off, at least 5 to 10 more, but sneaky good day for the guy in 17th in points.
Yeah, and I'll mention it now. Luke is going to be our guest on BGN Weekly this coming week, so a week from Tuesday. I think Luke's coming up, or maybe he was already up there. I might have to, let me rephrase that and let me check the schedule there, but I thought Luke was coming up. My producer's telling me, nope, not quite in my year yet. Luke Allen, Luke Allen is going to be our guest. I got half the name right.
Oh, maybe that's an invitation, Luke. Maybe he'll be the next Luke. Who knows? But right now, man, those 2 out front feeling themselves kind of calmed down, not battling for the lead, but they are opening it up a little bit on Kotska.
Thank God for Ryan Seneker keeping us straight up here in the booth.
Yeah, man. He's the man.
Have to tell Lowell to get that man a bonus.
Well, no promises, Ryan. You know how that's probably going to go, but we'll try. Oh, man, who was that? That was Lloyd Moore in the 26. He had a good wall slap there coming off a 4. And, man,
and those guys
are John. I think that may affect the handling of that car. That was a big.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you look at where Brian Lynch is now, that 8th place, the 7th on up has separated themselves from the field. They're running single file, and there's now a gap between them and the next pack on the field.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, I mean, it's not a 2-car pack up front yet, but, you know, that's I was mentioning that.
It too.
Yeah, they are. And it makes me wonder if maybe Josh, you know, wants to do that so then he can make a move. Maybe not have the draft affect him a little bit. That may be the clean way to do it, but it's almost like Dwayne, he's extending the gap a little bit. Sean Foltz finally able to get that 59 to the front of that pack and up front. And the 3 there, can he get the pull here? Is Hislop, is he thinking about making it 3 wide? Running out of room! Brian Lynch over the nose of the 92 of James Hislop. And John, caution, caution, caution. This is what we wanted to see. We basically got a 43, 44 lap shootout here. Let's go get it.
That's right. And that's just real estate. Not enough real estate for 3 guys there. Not really on anybody's fault really on that. You know, just one of those things that kind of happen where everybody's kind of going for the same spot on the track there. So, yeah. That's tough. I think maybe the 51 lost the nose a little bit. That probably made it get a little bit tight there. But like I said, that's a tough spot to be in. You don't know how many guys are on the outside of you there or whatnot. You're expecting to be able to move up the track a little bit more. So there could be a lot of different reasons, different causes on why that happened. But as you said, man, does this not set up a great finish?
Yeah, it does. And with all the cars on the lead lap, John, I think it kind of, you need to come down now and use up that last set of tires. It's 100%. Not going to do, I don't think it does you any good to maybe hope for a caution in 20 laps and try to pick all these guys off. We've seen, you know, people be able to use the draft, that high side to hold on to a spot. I think you got to come in now and, well, John, the boys agree. Here comes the full field. We got one staying out, Jerry Isaacs. He was involved in that last caution a little bit, and we know his car wasn't handling good, John. We saw him float up the racetrack. So, man, one guy. This is he's a small fish in a big pond. This may not be fun for the 51 Isaacs.
Well,
here.
I'm kind of wondering if he didn't miss pit road or something like that. I'll be very interested to see if he doesn't dive down to pit road when he comes back around here. Because if not, there's going to be 2 challenges on this restart. He's going to be a sit and duck, and he's going to have to try really hard not to get run over. And the guys behind him are going to have to really try hard not to run him over. And so, you know, that can cause another caution and then, you know, cause some problems for guys. So, yeah, we'll have to see here. I mean, they're getting ready to enter turn 3 here behind that pace car. So I've got my eyes on that 51 to see what he does.
I'll tell you what, John. If I told you that Josh Robinson, who was in the lead, took 2 tires, would you believe me?
Yeah.
He did. He's the only car with a 10-second pit stop. Everybody else in the 14s. He took 2 tires. So this is...
Isaac stayed out.
I guess Robinson came in second. Excuse me. MacArthur was ahead of him, so I lied. He did not come in as the leader. Maybe he thinks 2 tires is the move to get by him. Wow, this is...
Well, and it could be. You know what? You behind the wheel, you know if you're sliding your car around. So you know if you've, you know, protected your tires and probably what shape they are. And you know, Zach, you know that you can come out of the pits and take a look at where your tire wear actually is. And, you know, the last pit stop, if you're looking up at your left sides and they're sitting at 90, you know, 85, 90%, even higher, hey, why not take the 2? Because you've got plenty of right side or left side tires left. But the lights are out. I am right now. If I am Dwayne MacArthur and I'm behind that 51, whoo, that's going to be. You don't want to get caught up behind him. That's all I'm going to say. And so, how do you make quick work? Do you get that nose under him going into 3 and pushing it, making it 3 wide with that 51 in the middle? Do you try to just stick it in the middle and let the 51 go to the bottom in the corner? This is going to be it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I've got a feeling we may see 3 wide here in turn 1 and 2 as we go back.
I think that's a pretty sound prediction.
We'll see here. We'll see if they make true as the as the pace car pulls off here, coming out of 4. The green flag's high. It's ready to fly in. As that Geico restart zone. Good jump there for Isaacs. And boy, man, no problem with the old tires there. No spin. Good jump for the 51. Now what does he do? I mean, wants this pack of bees. Yeah, gets up to steam. Look at it. Josh Robinson right on the outside. MacArthur in the middle. We're 3 wide, John. And Isaacs, he knew it was coming there. He's playing nice. He's going to get to the inside, and maybe he's going to think, guys, you're going to bring out a caution here, 15, 20 laps. I'm going to have that new set of tires.
He better hope so, because I'm going to tell you, before that caution, he was running 8th, 9th, 10th. Well, within a lap, he's already about lost 8 spots, and I got a feeling he's going to lose a handful more and probably come out on the bottom end of this strategy here.
And this is one where I think drivers in the field maybe got to put that in the notebook when we come back here in the playoffs. Tires. Gonna need them. You don't want to be that guy hung out.
But now the debate, 2 or 4, because you know what? You talked about it. Josh Robinson only took 2. Well, guess what? He's got a pretty healthy lead here. Can he maintain that lead with those guys that have 4 tires right behind him?
That is going to be interesting. MacArthur right around the top. Josh still down comfortably on the bottom. First battle on the track is for 3rd. Negus trying to clear Kotsko on the outside. That's Clay Walker in the Dukes. We heard from him a little bit ago, peeking up there in the top 5. And Sean Foltz, that guy about 70 laps ago, told you he was running in about 20th. Keep an eye on him. I liked how he was running the high side. Well, Sean Foltz all of a sudden battling for the top 5. Look at this 59 go.
Yeah, he's getting on the bottom, letting her eat, and hopefully maybe he can get up close enough to Negus here to push Negus up. Yep, towards the top 3 or run for 1st or 2nd.
MacArthur got that Bass Pro fishing rod out, John. He's reeled him in. He's making a move here through the center of 3. Got the grip here coming off of 4. He's not going to be able to pull even, but not a big run off the top there for the 23, and maybe advantage Dwayne MacArthur here. How deep does Josh drive it in? He drove it in for all it's got. There's side by side Dwayne sliding up, and oh man, nobody close enough to give him any help.
Boy, that outside line out of turn 2, the run that you get out of turn 2 is just unbelievable. I would almost say both lines are pretty equal coming out of turn 4, but turn 2, the advantage you get momentum wise on the top, that's been the difference, that turn 2.
Yeah, I truly think that's why I made such a big deal out of Josh making that pass on the bottom out of 2. I haven't seen many other guys do it without maybe a mistake in how to do it. Now Dwayne, he's got to run here. He's going to back up the corner. But I don't know if he's going to be able to diamond down low, John, because if he takes a look, he's got that red 107. Scott Negus making a move here for P2.
Yeah, Negus has a podium already. We talked to him not too long ago on one of these races. So, you know what? He's feeling the mojo. He sees the lead. Those are 2 dangerous combinations.
Yeah, that was last week at Texas, actually, coming home 3rd. So, I mean, Mr. Mo definitely on the side of that 107 right now as he's going to try to send it in here. But Dwayne's got that advantage of maybe having some air taking off the nose going down the straightaways from that 23. Now Josh going to go down to the bottom, coax the 107 on and say, guys, battle hard here. Burn up your stuff. Get on my level.
Boy, that top line there is so strong through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Negus had to get up there, and man, Kotska having to feather out, maybe not wanting to, but that's what you need to do. Is up there, shuts the door. Now right back down to the bottom, and I like what Negus did there, you know? I mean, that's aggressive defense.
Yeah,
Go
but
down
I
there,
think Koska might have that door now. Have that door closed now. Negus cannot get back up on that top side.
Man, Negus really floating up, trying to pull some side draft back off of Andrew Kotzka. And if he better turn on the broadcast, John, listen to us, because here comes the deuce. Clay Walker to the outside. And man,
Daniel's
Negus,
right behind him.
yeah, man, Negus sinking right now. And looky who on the back of that top line, John. Here comes Crisco. Maybe it's time to push.
Yeah, I think it is here, because I think it's going to take you, 15, 20 laps, I think, to get around these guys up front, if you're going one at a time here, because these guys are pretty evenly matched around there.
He said he hadn't even pushed that race car yet, and man, he has driven himself back up into almost the battle for the top 5. Is Dwayne MacArthur trying to get a run off of 4? Can he get to the outside, John? This may be what the 83 needs.
He's got all the help, too.
Dwayne with a big send upstairs. Josh trying to drive it in, but man, oh man, 4 tires better than 2 right now. Dwayne MacArthur to the lead. Scott Negus getting a little impatient again, trying to sniff down at that middle, and man, he keeps inviting guys to go up to that top shelf. Clay Walker trying to take his momentum, maybe get that nose back up there. Can he send it in deep? Clay with more momentum coming off of 2. Negus has to feather out of the throttle, and now the one of Greg McDaniel, he's on the train here. Battle on for 5th as Negus falls to 4th, or falls back to 5th, excuse me.
Yeah, but Negus really does a nice job through 3 and 4 on that bottom there. That he's better than those guys on the outside down there, but then he gives it all back down here in 1 and 2. And not so much 1 and 2, but gives it back on corner exit and down the backstretch.
Josh took a peek for the lead there in 1 and 2, and he opened the door for Kotzka coming off the corner. Andrew Kotzka now battling for P2. Josh Robinson trying to make it work on the bottom through 3 and 4. He's got a good run, but not good enough. MacArthur with the lead at the line.
Yeah, he needs Negus to be a little bit, probably a car length or 2 closer to him.
MacArthur driving it in upstairs. He's got Kotzka right behind Josh with a small amount of room. Can he slot the car in? The answer's no. Kotzka drives to the outside. And man, Josh, he needs a life jacket out there. Somebody's got to throw him something. Kotzka gets P2 at the line as Robinson needs to get upstairs. He does, able to close the door on the 2.
But loses a spot. He started that pass. He was in 2nd trying to pass for the lead. Now he's all the way back to 3rd, and he's trying to hang on 3rd. Oh,
There's
man.
3 wide. Crisco upstairs. Lucian on the bottom. The 26 of, I believe that's Lloyd Moore in the middle. Oh, man. Now we got Don Easterlin upstairs in the 07. John, this 3 wide's been going on for a lap, man. They're ready to go.
They are. I mean, I think the pay window must be opening the way these boys are driving. And don't forget about Victor Lane. He's right behind these boys looking for a lane.
Yes, he is. He's going to run that cut down coming off of 2. Can he get underneath the 26 here of Moore? He can. He's going to drive it in deep into 3, but Moore with a lot of momentum upstairs. Victor now maybe going to need to get upstairs as here comes the 24 of Brian Lindsay. Brian with a good run upstairs, and man, these guys are racing hard. Sean Foltz right up there. Looks under the 1 of Greg McDaniel. Greg trying to rip the outside to come back with an answer. Can Sean shut the door? No, Greg answers back, and man, oh man, Negus and Clay Walker starting to go to work here on the 23 of Robinson. Well, I thought Walker was going to go with him, stayed upstairs. Negus tried to do it by himself, John, but as we mentioned, man, you just can't. You need a little bit of help here today.
Yep, need a little help from your friends. That really looks to be the theme here. And if I think these guys probably know it by this point. So teammates here, you're probably in the search for a teammate and probably talking to each other in the Discord, in their channels to probably make a plan. Okay, hey, we're gonna line up here. We're just gonna ride or die with each other. And that's a team that does that might be able to make some hay here at the end of the season.
Now, Andrew Kotska, I mean, we've mentioned here, John, each win, I believe, going, it's been a while, I'm terrible, but I believe each win is 10 bonus points going into the playoffs, if I remember right. These front three, they're fighting for it. I mean,
yep, I said it earlier, talking about
you get
seeding.
maybe more aggressive, John, because of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're locked in here. You know what? I always talk about risk reward. The reward here gets you, bigger benefit and get you closer to a championship.
And as much as I don't want problems to brew, but maybe while you're trying to go get that win, if something goes wrong, well, you both don't get that win. That other guy that you're battling with. So, like I say, not encouraging it, but I'm.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, Zach, if you push too hard and you wreck yourself, and then one of your opponents go out and grab that win, boy, that's a big deficit. And all of a sudden, you dug yourself into.
You're exactly right, and that's man, it's a thin line to walk.
Yep.
Look at Crisco making the move here on the outside of Scott Negus, sliding his way almost into the top 5. Johnny started 7th, back up to 6th. We've seen him lead the way at one point in time. He's got plenty of time here. 23 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, definitely getting down to it here, and you can see the intensity now. They must be picking up the speed too, because those front three have now got some distance between 4th. You got 4th and 5th running together, and then you've got a whole host of cars running from about 5th on back to about 13th, 14th.
Look at him slot that thing up in front of the 40. Andrew Kotska gives him a good shove. He says, let's go get him, Josh. As MacArthur floats that thing, man, he's looking so good on the entry of 3. Josh, one of the better guys on the bottom in 3 and 4. He gets a good run. Plenty of room to float up, and now maybe he gets another shot here from the 40 of Kotska going down the backstretch, and might see a little team play here.
Yeah, these guys, this is fantastic here. These guys are all running really, really hard and really pushing each other. This thing is in no way, shape, or form over here, and I don't think it's going to be settled until they come out of turn 4 for the last time.
No, I mean, it's that closest finish in NASCAR history last year, John. I mentioned it, and man, oh man, we may be due for another close one here. And Clay Walker trying to make it 4, guys. He's pulling away a little bit from Greg McDaniel, but I just don't know if Deuce has the pace. I mean, he said himself, there's some pretty big horses in front of him, but Clay doing a good job trotting along here.
He is, but that gap's still, even though the front 3 are racing each other, that gap, really has maintained. I haven't really seen him close in all that much here. And we got to, again, Robinson's looking.
He's looking. Now we've seen him get it done on the bottom in 1 and 2 before. Can he do it again? The tires have aged. Dwayne going to drive it in upstairs, going to give it all he's got. Josh floating up the hill. He's going to have to feather it a little bit. Here comes the 83. And now Josh, if he could stay to that quarter panel, he does. John, he's made some money here. Let's see if he can get it done.
Yeah, I think he's only going to get up right next to him, but I don't know that he's going to be able to complete the pass here. And I think one more time down here, 1 and 2, if the 83 MacArthur can get through there pretty clean. There, Robinson tucked back in. I was going to say, if MacArthur got through 1 and 2 pretty clean, he's going to, re-establish control of the race.
I mean, obviously, Josh, one of those guys, wants to go for it, win every time. But, man, I'm going to be anxious to hear from him if maybe it was worth getting the other 2 tires. Because, John, I mean, he's quick as heck on 2 tires. I mean, imagine him with 2 more out there.
Yeah, and I'm sure MacArthur's thinking the same thing if he's aware of that 2-tire stop. You talk about coming back here in the fall. Everybody's going to watch this broadcast back, and you know what? Trust me, that's going to go in the memory bank for the fall race.
Yeah, that's man, something we're definitely going to have to keep our eye on too, especially if Josh would find himself maybe outside the top 10. I think he'd be willing to do it again. He's done an excellent job with this set of tires and positioned himself for the win, but man, it is not going to be easy. Wayne, one of those guys who, I mean, you know, we talk about it in football.
Robinson on the wall.
Yeah, mistake-free racing. I mean, that's what he's known as. Dwayne does not make mistakes. And it's kind of forcing there Josh to make one, just really trying to push the car to find that run. And, I mean, Dwayne doing a perfect job of walking that thin line of pushing it, but not pushing it too hard, making those guys
Zach,
work.
you know, we talked about him a little a second ago, but Clay Walker's caught these guys. You got a 4-car race now.
Yes, he did. And I'll tell you what, big block there from the 83 of MacArthur going down the front stretch. That allowed Kotzka to maybe take a peek, but he's got to get up in line because, as you mentioned, Clay, man, he maybe isn't one of those horses that are quick out of the gate, John. He's there coming down the final stretch because Clay making a move here through 3 and 4, and he didn't really have to feather that. He's still even. What can he do in 1 and 2?
Yeah, Kotzka's got to hope the other two pull him down the stretch. Holy cow, look at that too. Can he hold it and get off the corner? He's not going to be able to. That outside, but there you go. All that space gained, he lost on corner exit. The 3 of them were able just to hook up and drive right down that backstretch.
Tell you what, though, John, they better go because here comes Lucian too. Look at him. You mentioned that 3, John, and he is reeling them in. We're going to have a 5, maybe 6-car battle here at the end of this thing if it stays green. We'll battle for the lead once again. Kotzka on the bottom. Can't do it. Josh with a big run upstairs. Here comes Clay Walker to the outside for 3rd.
Yeah, Clay stayed up there and shut the door. Now that's going to force Kotzka down there. And Robinson went down the track, I think, to help Kotzka out a little bit, you know, get that draft, and then that is going to help him. You see Kotzka now pulling back up on the number 2, but we get down into turns 1 and 2 here. Oh, and Walker into the wall, but Lushin is there. We're up to 5.
Yeah, he was there, and Clay, you mentioned it, drove in a little deep, got in the outside, but now you watched him hook up the bottom before. What can he do in 3 and 4? He drives it in deep. This is where John and I told you can get the pass done on the bottom. He does. He floats up in front of the
wall.
Kotzka. Little wall tap, but now he's going to have to drive this thing in deep here into 1, and he's got to do better than last lap. Can't get into that outside wall here.
And he doesn't. He gets in there really nice, and he's going to have a ton of momentum coming off this corner.
Yeah, Mr. Mo there up on the high side. Keep an eye on Clay Walker because I'll tell you, if Josh ends up getting, off his game here and starts battling with MacArthur, this guy could get them both. And Christian Lucian, look at him to the outside power move. Welcome to P4 for the 3.
Oh, yeah. You know, I would love to know these guys' tire wear here at the end of this because I'm thinking who's taking care of their stuff and who hasn't is really coming into effect here. But the draft, I think, is also really, really important here. Where you're making these moves and the timing of them right now are hugely important.
Robinson trying to diamond 3 and 4, maybe taking a peek here, but just can't get the run. And John, we're running out of time. 10 laps to go here as Lucian making a move here for the final podium spot. He's going to drive on the bottom here.
Kotzka on the wall again.
Kotzka, yeah, you mentioned gets in that outside wall. So Lucian should be able to slide up into P4 if he so chooses, but he's going to stick to the bottom.
He is, and he's going to have the opportunity here coming out of the corner there maybe to pick up 3rd, but he's going to have the opportunity to get back into 4th and get on the line and maybe take another run at it.
9 laps to go this time by, and Josh just stalking here. He knows he doesn't have a lot of time to make a move. If he commits to the bottom, Walker might be able to make the pass for P2. So he's got 1, maybe 2 shots at this thing. So he's got to be smart about it. And here comes
lap cars, Isaacs.
Yeah, he had to go in for that green flag pit stop, John, because remember, he didn't pit. gets those new tires, he's looking like Superman right now.
Yeah, but he's up there with the leaders with less than 8 to go there. But boy, he's got to be really careful. He doesn't need to be up there involved with these leaders at the end of a race.
No, definitely. I think it needed to get back on the lead lap. Oh, is Clay Walker in the outside wall? He was hung up there for a while. Lucian to P3. Andrew Kotska takes over fourth. Is Clay Walker going to have to lick the paws here? Nurse it back to health. He's going to go to the inside of Kotska. But that's made it pretty much a 2, possibly 3-car race here if Lucian can get to the back end of Josh Robinson.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Isaacs got around them all, very cleanly, and he did he did it the right way there, not to get involved or change the outcome of this race in any way, shape, or form. He's racing. I mean, we get a late caution, he gets a lap back. That changes his fortunes too. So he's got every right to get up there and try to get his lap back. So not begrudging him trying to get that lap back. Just, if you're running with leaders at the end of the race and you're a lap down, yeah, you got to do it just like that. Make sure you're not getting involved in that outcome.
That was Don Easterlin, I think, ripping that high side. You couldn't have put a sheet of paper between him and that wall there on the top shelf. Good run for him right behind Victor Lane.
I have to wonder if Kotska and Walker haven't used their stuff up a little bit, because they have now fallen behind the 83, 28, and the 3 now.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's one of those where MacArthur has maybe put the pedal down a little bit, hasn't allowed Josh to make a move here. In the front
Side
3,
5 to go.
Yeah, in the front 3, they're close enough, John, but now, as you mentioned, we're spreading out. I mean, maybe Josh has time to come back with another run. Look at Negus and Crisco battling door to door here. Negus trying to power through that middle. And who is that behind? Is that Brian Lindsay in the 24 ripping that outside? So 3 grooves. He's got a big run on the both of them here. Negus going to go up and shut that door. Lindsay has to back off a little bit. But, man, he's got a quick machine up there against the wall. Here he comes. I don't know if he's close enough. If Negus wants to go up and shut the door, he's going to stay on the bottom. Lindsay with a good entry to 1, trying to keep that momentum. Here is their 3 wide behind Victor Lane on the bottom. Crisco in the middle. Easterlin, quick work on the high side as he's getting to that 24. Thought about giving him a shove, but going to back out of that throttle. And we are coming to 4 laps to go as the battle for the lead heating up here. Josh Robinson all over the back of Dwayne MacArthur. Passing a lap car there, the 9 machine of Brian Lynch. Good job getting out of the way here, letting the leaders go at it. As we are almost out of time, John, we're coming to popsicle sticks this time. 2 laps to go. Josh trying to build a run out of 4.
Yeah, and real quick, Zach, Lucian is shifting like we saw last week at Texas. He's using downshifting in the 4th, so he's not using brake. He's using his engine to slow that car up on the corner, and he's probably getting a little bit of run out of the corners than the other 2 because of that, too.
We'll have to see. I mean, he's not close enough to strike, but if those 2 get rubbing here, maybe fireworks show in front of him. Christian's going to be there to pounce, but as we roll the top through 3 and 4, flag man about to get busy here. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Dwayne MacArthur.
Now look out that windshield, not worry about that mirror too much. Just run your line and keep your foot down.
Josh Robinson doing all this with 2 tires. He's got to run. What can he do? Final time, enter in 3. Does he send it in deep?
Sure
He's
does.
gonna look lower side by side through 3 and 4. What kind of run does Josh get? Oh boy! Dwayne MacArthur gonna take the checkered flag here at Kansas. But Josh Robinson, man, he gave him all he could handle here tonight, John. That's a good P2. And what
about
podium.
3 too?
Yeah.
Number 3, Lucian. You know what? Great run here tonight for him.
No kidding. I believe that's Lucian's first podium of the season. Sorry if it isn't, Christian, but I believe it is. And
I think it is. Yep.
That's a great run because, John, that's one of them, too, where when you go back and look at this, you can luck into podiums, but he was quick at the end. I mean, he
He
saved his
earned it.
spot.
100%. Not only did he earn it, but you know what? That helps you build momentum. You know what? The next race that counts is got to be at Charlotte, and you know what? Charlotte's not too different from this track, so maybe some good things are going to happen for Lucian here in the next few races.
Yeah, definitely. And Lucian there, he burned it out a little bit. He was happy for that third there. He squealed him a little bit. Is now Dwayne MacArthur going to do a donut here, burn it down. We're going to step away here on the Virtual Grip Network, but when we come back, we'll have interviews with your top 3. But before that, we'll give you your final race rundown. Stick around. We are back live on the Virtual Grip Network, and man, oh man, I believe, John, now, I'm terrible with my memory, but I think this is, maybe other than restrictor plate racing, we won't count those. Closest finish to the season. Those top 3 drivers, really top 5 until about 10 to go. We didn't know who was going to bring that one home. This was a good showing here tonight by these guys.
Yeah, and this track really provides that. We said it early on. You can run all over this track and make almost any line work. These guys proved us right on that front and turned into just one of the better shows of the year, which is saying a lot because there's been a lot of really, really good racing and some really good shows this year.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at that final finishing order here. Dwayne MacArthur getting it done for the 3rd time this season. Josh Robinson, a close P2, and Christian Lucian, his first podium of the season there, rounding out the top 3. Clay Walker with a good run in P4. Andrew Kotska, no surprise, another top 5 for him, coming home 5th. Greg McDaniel 6th. Sean Foltz 7th. Brian Lindsay 8th. Don Easterlin 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is the 10, the boss man, Victor Lane.
Coming home 11th is going to be Scott Negus, and I'm going to assume him finishing 11th, meaning those tires just gave up on him. Robert Garisco, that kept us entertained all night with his high line antics. He comes home 12th. Andy Thomas 13th. Lloyd Moore, who was also up front, mixing it up quite a while tonight. He's going to come home 14th. 15th is going to be Dave Nestor, followed by Bert Dobson. Roger Hunley is able to recover. We saw him kind of get spun around a little bit there, but he's able to bring her home 17th. Luke Lane will come home 18th. Lee Wurtzel 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Fred Wolford III.
Tommy Hennessy coming home in the blackjack position. The Viking, Dustin Martinson, 22nd. Nicholas Self, 23rd. John Hastings, 24th. And Daryl Weininger, the last car on the lead lap, coming home 25th. Brian Lynch coming home 26th. Jerry Isaacs, well, John, maybe we learned a green flag pit stop might go 2 laps down because, he did have those old tires, so he probably lost a lot of pace, but we saw him fight to get 1 back. But still, 1 lap down, coming home 27th. Mark Schrader, 28th. Alan Wanamaker, 29th. And rounding out the top 30, James Hislop.
Yeah, all these remaining guys here definitely had probably some problems here towards the end of this race. And Larry Corey comes home 31st. Mark Fish, 32nd. Chris Bates, 33rd. Dakota Pischke, 34th. Daniel Hill, we saw him get into an accident. He comes home 35th. Courtney Nelson, in a 78 machine, he comes home 36th.
Well, right now, I'm looking down in the green room. Oh, okay. He's up above us, Ryan. He just never came down to the green room. Let's pull in that driver who finished 3rd. Christian. Now, okay, help me out here. It's Lucian, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Like Russian, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm an idiot, and you're not. You brought it home. P3, how are you feeling, Christian?
Pretty good. That was a lot of fun. I learned early that, I may have lost a few spots on running the inside, but it saved my tires pretty well, so kind of keeping that line and making myself at least be somewhat predictable down there to say, hey, I'm still down here type of moves. But it was a lot of fun racing it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Now, Christian, you said something there that, puzzles me a little bit. Now, explain to a dummy like me. So you're saving tires down on the bottom. I would think you'd be, saving tires up top. How you doing that down there?
I was figuring, I was using a bit of brake. I use a little bit of brake to kind of make the nose kind of plan a bit, to kind of make it think right. And then I was also letting up. And then the shifting actually was helping as well with the rotation. So kind of making it kind of want to step out a bit and make it stick to the bottom a bit better for my driving style. And it just worked out a little bit. The first few stops, I was like, oh, there's only like a little bit of a gap there I can maintain with the tire wear. And it showed in that last little run where I was just kind of making moves throughout the field and making it work.
Well, hey, man, first podium of the season here. I know you're feeling good, but as we roll into Charlotte, little similarities. Do you think you can take it and keep rolling with the momentum here? Talk to us again after the next one?
Hopefully. I just ran a race there last week, so I'm going to take what I learned there and here and kind of use it to my advantage to kind of do a little better than what I did in that other race. So
Well, hey, man, next week's for fun for you guys, so we're off till you go do the real deal in 2 weeks. But, man, go out there, enjoy yourself next weekend. You look good tonight. Congratulations, Christian. Before we kick you out of here, brother, got a lot of nice, that's a beautiful paint job, man. A lot of sponsors on that thing. Who you want to thank?
Just a lot of my buddies that I race with, and then like everyone here in OBRL, they're great. It's always usually pretty clean here, and I am just thankful to be here as well. So.
Hey, man, we're happy to hear you put on a great show tonight and really stormed through the field at the end. Congratulations, you earned this. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yep, thank you.
Our man, John Hahn, he's got the guy who finished P2. Who you got?
I got Josh Robinson, and Josh, you threw everything but the kitchen sink to try to take over that lead and get that win here tonight. And what more did you possibly need?
Well, you know what? It's not what I needed. It's what I didn't need, and I didn't need one of those cautions.
You know, it was weird. I watching this race tonight, and I talked to him a little bit about in the booth, and you can tell me now if I'm off my rocker, but it almost seemed like if you wanted to make a pass, it was almost like restrictor plate racing. You needed help, a little push from the back, you know, to get a little bit of a draft tandem going to make that pass for the lead. Was I correct in seeing that, or was it a little something else?
You needed a little bit of a draft. That was always helpful, but what you really needed was, if you wanted to really pass someone and you actually had a chance to pass them, you kind of had to set it up about a lap in advance.
Well, tell us how so. What were you doing? How would you do that here to do that?
So I felt very strong on the low line in 3 and 4. So what I would do is I would bounce up to the high line in 1 and 2, kind of get accustomed to that, because it is a little tough just to jump lanes back and forth.
Yes.
But
it's a good way to use your tires up.
Oh, 100%, because they're getting confused at that point. But so what I would do is I would get a really good run off of 2, and then if I had momentum going into 3, I would dive it down low into 3, and then you could usually catch someone that maybe wasn't as strong in 3 and 4, and you could clear them out of 4 with ease. But that only worked sometimes, as you can see. Like once you started getting up in the top 3, then people came a little bit more privy to what I was doing.
Well, I tell you what, it was so much fun to watch. As usual, you guys do a great job. You know what? You've got the All-Star race next week. What do you think about that? Gonna go up to North Wilkesboro there.
That track is a blast. We ran that here last season, and we kept inverting the field a couple of times, which based on points and wins and what's not, and that made for such an excellent race. Last year, hopefully iRacing didn't do anything egregious with the setup, but you could run kind of that lane 2 and 3, and you could run the bottom. It was a darn good race. I kind of wish it was a regular points race, and NASCAR didn't just make it the All-Star race, but we'll take what we can get.
Well, my friend, we will see you on VGN, though, in a couple of weeks when we return there to broadcast the race after the All-Star. So good luck in the All-Star race, and we'll see you on down the road.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night. And as always, thanks for doing the broadcast. Looking forward to going back and watching this.
Awesome. That's Josh Robinson bringing her home second. And Zach, I do believe you caught up with the guy that basically had a flawless night. He put that car in all the right positions at the right time. You're with our winner tonight.
Hey, Dwayne, Shaggy up in the booth, man. Long time no speak. I don't think you've done this since, last week?
Hey, how you doing?
Dude, not as good as you, man. Now, okay, how aware were you when you go for that last pit stop? Did you know that man in front of you only took 2 tires? Were you worried?
I didn't know until obviously I saw him take off way before us. I thought it was a possibility some folks would do it. And I knew it would probably work, but I was married to taking all my tires. I paid for them. I'm gonna use them.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, especially, you were the guy. You were out front, just setting the pace. And Dwayne, not that you never really had to because there were points, but it just seemed like you were in cruise control out there, man. If somebody would get close to you, maybe put a little pressure on you, you'd go if you felt like you needed to go. But then there were some points at the beginning of the run if somebody wants to pressure you, just let them have it. Use up your stuff. I mean, it's you were perfect tonight.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad it looked that way from the booth. It was a lot of work. Kind of felt like every 5 laps there was somebody new breathing down, and like you said, I was trying to balance between saving and running my line, saving as much as I could, especially on entry, so that I could defend when it was time. Every now and then somebody would throw caution to their tires and decide they're gonna dive in, and I had to respond. So I was constantly kind of backing up the car to get some dirty air on their nose, make sure I don't break away, and then every time they didn't have a run on me down the front stretch or the back stretch, I made sure back up that entry, save some more tires, because 2 or 3 laps somebody's going to toss it in there and I'm going to have to lean on it and get it loose, which is tough in this car, and I'm going to have to get it loose to defend. So all of those defends on the top line is basically pushing that car right on the edge of snap loose, using the seam there. So it was a little bit stressful every time.
Well, did you suffer a lot with right side tire wear tonight? Did it seem like there was a big fall off in the handling of the car compared to the other mile and a half?
I think so. Even from lap 1, there wasn't really any front grip in this car. So you really had to make sure that you got it rotated and entered properly, and you gave it some time to rotate. It would turn under throttle a little bit, which is not the Gen 7 doesn't always turn under throttle. And then there was 3 seams out there that you could kind of exploit by crossing them or straddling them, etc. So you could kind of loosen the car up, but front grip kind of went away. I think maybe 2 corners I drove through a push, and I think if I would have done it 1 more corner in that entire race, those guys right behind me would have definitely driven by me.
Well, hey, man, you answered the bell tonight. You're tied now for the league lead with 3 wins. You and Andrew Kotzka at the top. So, it's looking like you're safely in this playoffs. I want to ask you one more question before I let you thank your sponsors and get out of here. But 3 wins, man, that's a lot. Does that make you maybe get more aggressive here? Go for some more? Or how do we play it, man? Because I feel like you got to ride this momentum while you got it.
Nah, I don't change how I race. I'm not racing the points or usually even the other people on the track. I'm just kind of taking care of my equipment, trying to get there as quick as I can to the end of the race, playing it safe, making sure I don't hit anybody else, and making sure I don't fade on a long run, things like that. I'll probably just go out, run my race, and see where the chips fall. I imagine it could be, quite a while until I'm up here talking again as the winner. This league is so damn talented. They're just so good. Every driver, top to bottom. These guys can go out and win top split races any day they want. So I'll just go out there and do my thing, see where the chips fall. If they fall in 8th or 12th or 4th or whatever it is what it is. Just try to get the best finish I can.
Well, with all due respect, Dwayne, back-to-back wins here. You've got to be the betting favorite when we roll into Charlotte in 2 weeks. But, man, we're off next week. You're racing for fun in North Wilkesboro, so, man, go out, enjoy yourself. But congratulations on the big win tonight, man. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't start by thanking 2 fabulous women in my life for Mother's Day, my own mother.
You're the only guy who's safe tonight, by the way, who thanked them. So, man, the other ones better hope.
Thanks. Yeah, so big thank you to my mother who enabled, first of all, my own real-life racing career when I was younger, and then, of course, continues to support me throughout my life. And then my wife, who's a fantastic mother to both my children and probably to me most days, let's be honest. I'm down here racing cars and the household's running up there. So a big thank you to all the mothers out there. We literally wouldn't be here without them.
Well, Dwayne, you're awesome, man. We're lucky to call such an amazing league here with the OBRL boys, and you're right at the top of that thing. Good luck the rest of the way, man. You're the point leader. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Take it easy. Good job out there. I'll look forward to watching the broadcast later.
That's Dwayne MacArthur bringing home the win. John, we talked about it, man. They treat us every week, but boy, another good one. I believe only 3 caution flags here. That's great. 150 laps at Kansas.
Yeah, you know what? And I almost feel like we should say. I know at the top I said Happy Mother's Day, but I think we probably should give a shout out to Allie. Your wife, Renata, my wife, Lauren, who is Ryan's wife, there, and say Happy Mother's Day to you guys. Thanks for letting us put this broadcast on this week.
Yeah, that's a good point, John, because I didn't hear anything about having to broadcast today. My wife was totally okay with it, and I'm sure Lauren, she runs Ryan. Ryan does what she says, so if he's here, he's allowed to be. So, Lauren, we appreciate you. But let's go ahead. Let's take a look at what's coming up next here. And obviously, we talked about it. Next week, the OBRL boys are racing, but they're doing their all-star race. We won't be on the call for that, so you won't hear this tandem again until Sunday, May 25th. And John, 160 laps at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Man, oh man! I mean, that's the mecca of NASCAR right there.
Sure is, and that's going to be a track that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's a track that won't give you. I don't think give you 3 grooves, but it's definitely going to give you a couple of options there. Always puts on a good show, but it is a difficult track because you know what? It's a narrow track and you carry a lot of speed around that track, so the margin for error is actually not much at all. You get yourself in trouble real fast there, and when you do, usually it's pretty big when it happens.
Now, John, obviously not the same as Kansas, but the MVRL ARCA series rolls into Chicagoland, somewhat similar to what we saw tonight. A lot of different lanes, and that's tomorrow night at 9:25. I know I'm going to be there. You'll be there. I mean, we should have plenty of grooves here to go do some racing tomorrow night.
Yep. Now, this whole weekend, VGN's got a lot of good racing coming on. So, yeah, you can tune in not only Monday, but tune in several times through the week, and we'll have all those things on there, and it'll wrap up with BRL on Saturday.
Well, make sure you hit that subscribe button here for VGN because you don't want to miss any of those shows. But the OBRL Yesteryear Racing Cup Series, another amazing one. And on behalf of everyone at the Virtual Grip Network, I'd like to thank my partner, John Hine, the dude in the back, Ryan Seneker, all of our wives, and all the drivers' wives for letting them put on a good show. And last but not least, all of you for tuning in. Have a good night.